The human ship vanished into the black of space, leaving the Valari shaken. Their ruined world was still burning, their fleet crippled, yet somehow the humans had helped. Slowly, whispers spread across the planet. "Did you see them?" one soldier asked. "A species so small, yet they risked their lives for us." The Valari had always believed that only the strong survived, that compassion was weakness. But humans seemed different. Their actions didn't follow the rules of the galaxy. Meanwhile, Captain Mara Lee and her team were already planning their next moves. They didn't just want to help once, they wanted to show that even a small species could make a difference. "We can't save the galaxy in one day," Mara said to her crew. "But every life we touch matters. Every act counts." The humans returned to the Valari world the next day, this time with supplies, medicine, tools and small generators to power the city's broken energy grid. When they landed, the Valari soldiers watched, unsure whether to trust them. A young human engineer named Jonas stepped forward, carrying crates of medicine. "We're not here to fight," he said, smiling. "We just want to help you rebuild." The aliens hesitated. Trust did not come easily, especially after decades of war. But slowly the humans' calm and patience began to break down their walls. Mara's team moved methodically, repairing machinery, tending to wounded soldiers and helping rebuild homes. At first, the Valari were suspicious. They watched from a distance, their weapons ready to strike if this turned out to be a trap. But as hours turned into days, something strange happened. The humans never asked for anything in return. They didn't take credit. They didn't demand loyalty. They only gave. One Valari commander, Talon, muttered to his assistant, "They are not like any species I have ever seen. Why would they risk themselves without gain?" Even some of the younger Valari, who had grown up believing that humans were weak and insignificant, began to change their minds. "Maybe we judged them wrong," a soldier whispered. "Maybe they are stronger than they appear." Tensions rose when the Valari Council learned about the humans' continued presence. Some argued that the humans were spies or worse, agents of an unknown enemy. Others saw the results. Damaged ships repaired, wounded healed, hope returning to a people who had almost given up. The council decided to send a representative to meet the humans directly. An alien diplomat, Kirill, arrived in the ruined city under heavy escort. He was cautious, his 4 eyes scanning every corner, his hand hovering over his weapon. Mara stepped forward to greet him. "Welcome," she said calmly. "We are here to help. Nothing more." Kirill tilted his head. "Why?" he asked. "Your species is small. Your fleet is tiny. You have no reason to care for us." Mara smiled. "Sometimes, it is not about size or power. Sometimes, it is about doing what is right. That is enough reason." The aliens were silent. Kirill could feel a strange force in her words, something he could not explain. It was not fear, not threat, not diplomacy, it was honesty. A human's honesty. Days passed and the humans continued their work. They shared food with starving families, repaired the last of the damaged shelters, and even helped the Valari prepare defenses against enemy raids. Every act of kindness, every small gesture began to shift the mood of the alien population. But not all aliens were convinced. A group of council members whispered in secret chambers. "They are too perfect," one said. "No species can act like this without reason. What are they hiding?" Tension grew. The humans had unknowingly started a debate that could change the balance of the galaxy. Some Valari admired them, some feared them, and others were determined to uncover their secrets. Then one night a warning came. Enemy scouts had detected the human ship lingering near the planet. Their sensors could not understand why such a small craft would be here. Could it be a trap? The Valari scrambled to prepare defenses, but Mara had already anticipated this. She gathered her team. "We cannot fight them directly," she said. "But we can show them that we are not their enemies. Trust is stronger than any weapon." The humans launched small drones to communicate with the enemy scouts, sending messages of peace, offering aid, and even sharing supplies they did not need. The aliens were stunned. Never before had a species reached out to them without demanding surrender, tribute, or loyalty. By morning the enemy scouts had withdrawn, confused and shaken. Mara looked at the horizon, the rising suns reflecting off the ruined city. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "They will never understand us if they judge us by their rules. But we can show them, actions speak louder than threats." The Valari, who had once mocked humans as weak and insignificant, now watched in silence. Something fundamental had changed. A single species, tiny and underestimated, had begun to rewrite the rules of the galaxy. And far beyond the planet, somewhere in the stars, the galaxy itself seemed to pause as if holding its breath. The Valari Council had never faced a situation like this. Across the ruined planet, humans moved among their people, helping, repairing, and healing. And yet the question remained, why? Some council members saw hope in the humans' actions, while others saw danger. "We cannot trust them," one elder hissed. "They are too small, too bold. Every species in the galaxy has a hidden agenda. Why would they risk themselves for us?" To settle the matter, the council devised a test. They would challenge the humans, putting them in a situation where only cunning and bravery could succeed. If the humans passed, perhaps they were worthy of trust. If not, they would prove to be exactly what the council feared: weak and vulnerable. The test was simple in theory but deadly in practice. A sector of the city had been booby-trapped by remnants of enemy forces. Mines and automated turrets were scattered throughout, designed to kill any who tried to enter. The Valari wanted the humans to navigate the sector, retrieve critical supplies, and return unharmed. Mara Lee stood before her team. "We expected danger," she said calmly. "This is not new. Our mission is to help. We will do it no matter the risk." The humans moved carefully into the sector. Every step was a calculation. Mines blinked and hummed underfoot, turrets scanned the ruined streets. The Valari watched from a safe distance, their doubts still clouding their eyes. Jonas, the young engineer, paused to disable a turret. "We have to be precise," he said. "One mistake and it's over." Hours passed. The humans encountered more traps than anyone expected, yet they moved steadily forward, helping not just themselves but also Valari civilians who had been trapped in the sector. Mara lifted debris, guided the frightened, and coordinated with her team to avoid deadly hazards. The Valari Council members began to whisper among themselves. "They are careful, yes. But are they reckless? Do they understand what they face?" Then disaster struck. One of the human team members, Liera, triggered a hidden mine. The explosion threw her across the street, and her suit alarms blared. Mara sprinted to her side, dragging her out of the blast zone while enemy drones approached. The Valari watching held their breath. Every move the humans made seemed impossible, yet they survived. Mara used a small EMP device to disable the drones, her team moving as one, precise and fearless. Finally, the humans reached the supply cache. Mara opened the crate and smiled. Inside were medical supplies, energy cores, and vital information the Valari desperately needed. The humans had completed the task, but not just for themselves. Along the way, they had saved every Valari civilian they could find, neutralized traps without harming anyone, and avoided provoking enemy forces. The council could not believe their eyes. A species so small, so underestimated, had navigated death itself and emerged victorious. Some members were awed, others furious. "This is impossible," muttered one commander. "No species acts like this under pressure. No species except humans." The humans returned to the council chambers, their supplies in hand, their team intact. Mara faced the alien diplomats. "We do not seek glory," she said. "We do not fight for power. We act because it is right. That is our only goal." Kirill, the alien diplomat who had met the humans before, looked at her thoughtfully. "You are unlike any species I have encountered," he said. "Your courage is real and yet, your intentions seem pure. I cannot reconcile it." But not all Valari were convinced. A faction of the council plotted in secret. "We must watch them," one whispered. "If they are so clever they may yet deceive us." Trust is a dangerous gift in a galaxy like this. As the humans prepared to leave, Mara glanced at the city below. "We have done what we came to do," she said softly. "But this is only the beginning. The galaxy will learn who we are, not through threats, not through war, but through our actions." Far above the planet, sensors and distant enemy fleets flickered. They had noticed the humans navigating the dangerous sector. Confused, they reported unusual activity. "A small ship," one commander said, voice trembling. "It survived, and helped its enemies?" The humans had not fought. They had not attacked. And yet, in surviving, helping, and acting with courage, they had sent a ripple across the galaxy that would not be forgotten. The Valari civilians whispered among themselves. "Humans, they are not like us," said one child. "They are something more." And somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, the enemy forces began to rethink their strategies. One small species, underestimated and overlooked, was beginning to rewrite the rules of war and survival. Mara Lee looked to the stars, her eyes calm but determined. The test was over, but the true challenge had only just begun. The galaxy was watching. The question lingered in every mind: what could humans do next? The humans had survived the test. They had moved through deadly traps, saved countless Valari civilians and retrieved vital supplies. For some of the Valari, this was proof that humans were extraordinary. For others, it was only proof that they could not fully understand them. But the galaxy was not patient. While the humans worked tirelessly, a small group of Valari Council members, still suspicious of the humans' motives, secretly contacted a neighboring alien fleet. "The humans are clever," one whispered, "but we cannot allow them to influence our people. They must be tested further, or eliminated." Unaware of this betrayal, Mara Lee's team returned to the human ship to prepare for departure. Their mission was simple: help where needed, then leave quietly. Yet danger was closing in faster than anyone expected. Without warning, enemy ships warped into the system. Sensors blared alarms across the Valari world. The humans froze as holographic displays filled with red warnings. The Council's traitorous faction had invited these attackers, hoping to expose the humans' true nature. Jonas, the engineer, scanned the displays. "They're fast, and they're many. Mara, what do we do?" Mara's eyes narrowed. "We fight smart. Not hard. We save as many as we can." The enemy fleet opened fire, targeting the city and the human ship. Explosions rocked the ground as buildings crumbled. Valari civilians screamed and ran for cover. The humans moved with calm precision, guiding people away from danger and disabling enemy weapons with improvised tools. The Valari watched in shock. "They are not retreating," said a commander. "They are protecting us, while under fire?" The humans did not fire weapons. They did not strike the enemy directly. Instead, they used their knowledge of the terrain and their clever devices to create barriers, block enemy sensors, and redirect attacks. One small human drone caused a chain reaction that disabled an entire squadron of enemy fighters, saving hundreds of lives in the process. Mara grabbed a Valari child trapped under rubble, lifting him into her arms. "It's okay," she said softly. "We've got you." For the first time, some Valari began to question everything they had been taught about humans. They had assumed humans were weak, small, and unimportant. Yet here they were, outsmarting a fleet far larger than their own, saving lives while never firing a single weapon in anger. Kirill, the Valari diplomat, watched in awe. They think differently," he whispered. "Not with war in their hearts, but with courage and strategy. How is this possible?" But not all reactions were admiring. The traitorous council members watched from their hidden chambers, angry that their plan had failed. "They are even stronger than we feared," one hissed. "No ordinary species survives this." The enemy fleet, frustrated and confused, withdrew temporarily. Sensors could not track the humans effectively, and every attempt to engage them directly ended in failure. The humans' unpredictability was disorienting. In the galaxy, unpredictability was often fatal, but not for humans. When the smoke cleared, Mara's team stood among the Valari survivors. Injured citizens were stabilized, supplies were distributed, and temporary shelters were set up. "We are not your enemies," Mara said to the shaken Valari. "We came to help and we will continue to help no matter what." The Valari, who had once doubted humans, now whispered among themselves. "They are not like us," a soldier said. "They are stronger in ways we cannot measure." Kirill approached Mara. "Your species, it is unlike any other. You do not seek power and yet you wield it. You do not fight for glory, and yet you survive where others fail. What are you?" Mara smiled faintly. "We are humans. That is enough for now." But danger was not gone. The traitorous Valari Council members began plotting again, knowing the humans' growing influence threatened their control. And somewhere far across the galaxy, news of the humans' survival and cleverness was spreading. Whispers reached enemy fleets, who began questioning everything they thought they knew about this small, underestimated species. As Mara looked to the stars from the city's ruins, she felt a quiet determination. "They think they understand us," she said softly. "But the galaxy has no idea what humans are capable of." The sun set over the planet, casting long shadows across the ruined streets. In those shadows, the seeds of fear and respect had been planted. One small species, through courage, intelligence, and a refusal to fight like everyone else, was beginning to change the way the galaxy thought about war, power, and survival. And the humans, as always, were ready for whatever came next. The humans had survived traps, tests, and betrayals. They had saved countless Valari lives without firing a single weapon in anger. The galaxy had begun to notice, though few understood what to make of it. On the ruined planet, hope returned to the Volari. Civilians rebuilt their homes, repaired their ships, and whispered stories of the humans who had walked among them. "They are unlike anyone we have ever known," said a young Volari technician. "They are small but they make us feel safe, even in war." The Volari Council could no longer ignore the humans' influence. Kirill, the diplomat who had once doubted them, stood before the assembly. "They do not fight like we do," he said. "They do not seek control, yet they wield influence. Perhaps it is time we reconsider how we see them." Meanwhile, Mara Lee and her team had moved on. They traveled from one conflict zone to another, offering aid where no one else dared to go. They repaired fleets, treated wounded soldiers, and even helped enemy civilians caught in battles. Each act of compassion created ripples across the galaxy. Rumors of humans spread quickly. Some feared them. Some admired them. Across star systems, aliens whispered, "Have you heard? Humans saved a fleet, without even attacking." One fleet commander, watching reports of the humans' work, muttered, "Impossible. No species behaves like that. They must have a hidden agenda, or hidden power." But the humans' true strength was not in hidden weapons or secret technology. It was in courage, intelligence, and their unwillingness to follow the galaxy's usual rules. Mara's team acted where others only calculated. They risked themselves to save lives, and in doing so changed how aliens viewed strength. On a distant planet, enemy scouts who had once mocked humans now hesitated. "They are unpredictable," said a Valoran officer. "We cannot plan against them. One act of kindness, and they shift the entire battlefield." Back on the Volari world, the council debated their next steps. Some wanted to ally with humans, seeing them as a new force for good. Others feared them, worried that this small species could disrupt the delicate balance of power. But humans did not wait for permission. They continued to act quietly without seeking glory. They gave aid to those who needed it most, built alliances through trust instead of fear, and proved that compassion could be a weapon more powerful than fleets of warships. One day, Mara stood before a gathering of Volari leaders. "We are not here to conquer or rule," she said. "We are here because no one else dared. Because hope is stronger than fear. Because every life matters." Her words spread across communications networks, reaching species who had long given up on the galaxy. Entire civilizations began to rethink what they believed about strength and courage. If a small species like humans could survive, help, and even influence others without force, then perhaps there was more to the galaxy than endless war. At night, under the glow of distant stars, Volari children whispered stories of the humans. "One human saved us all," said one child. "They are small, but they are brave." And the humans, moving from planet to planet, did not stop. Their acts of kindness continued, building a network of trust and respect across worlds that had once been divided by fear. Even the enemy fleets began to question their strategies. Reports came in. Humans had repaired enemy ships, guided refugees to safety, and avoided unnecessary conflict. "We cannot predict them," one commander admitted. "They are nothing like any species we know." Mara Lee watched from the bridge of her ship, the stars reflecting in her eyes. "We are small," she said quietly. "But even the smallest light can shine across the galaxy. We will keep moving forward, because it is right." The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, began to pause. Wars still raged, fleets still clashed, but somewhere in the middle of it all, a small species showed that courage, kindness, and intelligence could change everything. And every civilization that witnessed the humans' actions began to wonder the same thing. What else can they do? How far will humans go? The ripple had begun. One small species, acting without aggression, had already begun to reshape the galaxy. And the story was far from over. The galaxy had changed. What had begun as a small mission to help a single alien world had grown into a movement. Across star systems, stories spread of humans who acted differently from any species anyone had ever known. They did not conquer. They did not kill unnecessarily. They saved lives. On the Volari world, the council gathered once more, this time in a larger chamber rebuilt after the devastation of war. Kirill stood before them, his 4 eyes scanning the room. "We have seen it," he said quietly. "A species so small, so underestimated, has reshaped the hearts and minds of our people. They are unlike anything the galaxy has known." Even the skeptics could not deny it. Humans had risked their lives countless times, navigated impossible dangers, and yet never asked for loyalty or tribute. They had acted simply because it was right. And that simple truth had begun to ripple outward, influencing even those who had never met them. Mara Lee looked out at the chamber, calm but resolute. "We do not seek recognition," she said. "We do not fight for power. We act because every life matters. One act of kindness can change the course of the galaxy, and that is all we need." Outside the council chambers, the Valari citizens whispered among themselves. Children told stories of the humans who had walked among them. Soldiers recounted how the humans had saved them without ever drawing a weapon in anger. Even rival fleets, once poised for attack, hesitated, uncertain how to respond to a species that acted so unpredictably and yet so effectively. Far beyond the Valari system, the galaxy's warlords took notice. Fleets that had once mocked Earth now paused before attacking it. Reports came in. Humans had aided enemy civilians, rebuilt ships for rivals, and mediated disputes without violence. Each act of courage and kindness spread the humans' reputation further. Yet even as admiration grew, fear remained. The galaxy had never seen a species so small wield so much influence through actions alone. Could such a species be trusted? Could they be stopped if they chose to act against the established order? Mara Lee did not answer those questions. She did not need to. Her mission was not to rule or to fight or to seek glory. Her mission was simple: to do what was right wherever and whenever it was needed. And in doing so she had changed the galaxy. The humans' work was far from over. Mara's team traveled from system to system, offering aid, repairing fleets, and teaching others that survival and compassion could coexist. Alien species who had once been enemies now began to collaborate, inspired by humans' example. Alliances formed where hatred had once ruled. In one distant system, a Valoran commander whispered to his crew, "We underestimated them. Small as they are unstoppable in their own way. Not with weapons but with courage, intelligence, and mercy." The galaxy, once filled with constant war and fear, had glimpsed a new possibility. One small act of kindness, carried out without hesitation, had grown into a movement that no one could ignore. And on a quiet night, far from the chaos, Mara Lee stood on the bridge of her ship, staring out at the stars. "We are small," she whispered. "But small can be powerful. Small can be remembered. Small can change everything." Somewhere, across countless worlds, civilizations began to whisper the same thing. Humans are different. Humans are unpredictable. Humans are extraordinary. The galaxy had been surprised. The galaxy had been challenged. And the galaxy would never forget. Because one human's simple act of kindness had changed everything. And in that change, a new future was born. One where courage, compassion, and intelligence could reshape even the darkest corners of the galaxy. The war would continue. Challenges would rise. Enemies would plot. But one truth remained: humans, small and underestimated, had left a mark on the stars that no one could erase. The legacy of a single act was no longer just a story. It was a movement. And it was only the beginning. The galaxy was burning. Entire star systems were engulfed in flames. Alien fleets clashed in endless battle, their massive warships tearing through planets like paper. Explosions lit the dark void, and the cries of dying civilizations echoed silently across the stars. No one seemed able to stop the chaos. Amid this destruction, humans were barely noticed. Earth was small, weak, and far away from the main war zones. Most alien civilizations laughed at the tiny blue planet. "Pathetic," said the Valoran admiral, his eyes scanning a holographic map of the galaxy. "A species so weak they barely send ships beyond their system. They can't even fight for themselves." Even so, Earth had not disappeared quietly. On a small orbital station above a shattered planet, a human mission prepared to depart. The world below was in ruins. Cities once proud were now crumbled shells, their streets silent except for the moaning winds. A Valari survey ship, battered and abandoned, drifted nearby. The humans had tracked it here after detecting a distress signal. Captain Mara Lee, a young but determined human, looked at her crew. "This is it," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with resolve. "We don't have to fight them to make a difference. Sometimes helping is the strongest weapon we have." The human ship, small and unarmed compared to the alien cruisers, descended into the planet's atmosphere. On the surface, Valari soldiers and engineers scrambled to survive, trying to repair what they could and save what was left of their people. They paused when the human craft touched down. It was so small, almost insignificant, yet it moved with confidence. A hatch opened. Mara stepped out, flanked by her team. Their uniforms were simple, their equipment basic, but their faces held determination. The Valari soldiers aimed their weapons, ready to fire. "Wait!" shouted a young Valari technician. "Why are they here? They are not part of the fleet. Are they spies?" Mara held her hands up. "We come in peace. We saw your distress signal. We are here to help." The aliens stared at her. They had never seen anything like this. In the galaxy's history, no species that called themselves human had offered aid to anyone. Not allies, not enemies. Humans were small, weak, and fragile. Why would they risk themselves in the middle of a war? One of the alien commanders, a tall figure with gray skin and 4 eyes, stepped forward. "You offer help?" he asked, his voice harsh. "Do you know the danger? Our world is dying. Enemy fleets are nearby. One wrong move and your species will be destroyed." Mara nodded. "We know the risks, but we cannot ignore those who need help. We may be small, but we can still make a difference." The aliens exchanged nervous glances. Was this courage? Or madness? They had never met a species willing to act selflessly in the midst of war. Every civilization fought for power, territory, or survival. Humans acted differently. Without waiting for further orders, the human crew moved among the ruins. They lifted heavy debris, repaired damaged machinery, and distributed food and water to the surviving Valari. Each act was simple, almost ordinary, yet it carried a strange weight. The Valari had never seen mercy like this in their lives. A Valari officer whispered to his companion, "Why are they helping us? They gain nothing, nothing at all." Hours passed. The aliens watched silently as the humans worked tirelessly. Slowly, suspicion mingled with curiosity. The humans were not hiding, not demanding anything, not trying to conquer or manipulate. They just helped. But even as some Valari began to trust them, others remained skeptical. "This is a trick," muttered a commander. "No species acts like this for free. They must have an agenda. We cannot let our guard down." Mara's team finished repairing the last of the major systems in the Valari shelter. Exhausted but determined, Mara looked at the aliens around her. "We're not your enemies," she said softly. "We are here because you need help. Nothing more." The Valari commander studied her. The tension in the air was thick, like a storm waiting to break. He wanted to believe her. But in the galaxy, trust was a dangerous luxury. And humans were unpredictable. As the sun set over the ruined planet, the humans prepared to leave. They had completed their mission, but the question lingered in every Valari mind. Why would a tiny, weak species risk everything for strangers? Above the planet, the human ship lifted off smoothly, disappearing into the stars. Below, the Valari watched in silence, still uncertain. Something had changed, though they could not say what. The galaxy's rules, the laws of war and survival, suddenly felt different. And somewhere far away, the enemy fleets continued their march of destruction, unaware that a small act of kindness had just begun to shift the balance of power in the galaxy.